Welcome, horror fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-hosts Duff, Jess, and Jonathan. How's it going, guys?
Hey,
What's up?
we got fun.
Oh, we have a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. So you can always find us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at HHN365 and at TikTok at HHN365pod. We have an amazing Discord channel that's awesome things are going on. Link is in the description. And we have a merch shop at HHN365.com. We dropped the big cartel.
Yep, gone. I mean, they'll still bring you there, but you know.
And we have a voicemail at 407-906-4134. Let's get into it, guys. On today's show, we are going to discuss the answer to Legacy's newest house clue, the first spec map for HHN 32, and exciting news and rumors on both Hollywood and Orlando. We have so much to talk about. Let's get into it.
So also, before we get there, I do want to reiterate one thing, that Discord, we've been solving some of them clues.
Yeah.
Come in, join the discussion. We're having a lot.
Yeah, they have.
Also, if we've ever wanted a voicemail from you, it's a week like this. Let us know what you think about this first spec map drop. Let us know what you think about the rumors. Again, 407-906-4134. We'll play it here on the show, and we can all discuss together.
Yeah, if you want to be in the front lines of solving those clues, it's happening in our Discord.
In our Discord, yep.
So, yeah.
The first two were like fully split with the RHHN Discord. Fully us. So, well, not us. The people in our Discord. Yeah. We didn't do shit.
We did nothing.
Just watched it happen and then we did.
We just saw the notifications.
We were the soccer moms. We were giving them orange slices and Gatorades. We were supporting from the sidelines.
Great job, number 9. Great job.
That's what our Discord is. It's a supportive group of people solving clues and those who can't solve clues supporting.
We just post a tweet of the legacy clue and we're just like, all right, have fun.
Like, you guys enjoy. You solve that, and Legacy thought it would take like a week, and then 10 hours later.
I honestly thought he was assuming it would take like a month to figure out, or at least a couple weeks, because at least we'll get to it later in the episode for sure. But last year, his clues took a long time for people to solve until they figured out the rhythm. This time, absolutely not. They've taken 5 seconds. Like,
and that most recent clue was fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like really hard.
I don't know how they got there.
We'll get there. Whatever. So let's start out with the stuff that's like fully legit. It's not rumors. It is happening. It's a thing. That's more house permits. We know we love
permits.
Those are some of our favorite things
Permits.
to talk about. So I'm just going to run through a few that have popped out, and that's actually bringing us to all 10 house locations, assuming it's going to be 10 only. That's going to be Soundstage 22, where Spirits of the Coven was last year. Okay. Soundstage 23B, where the outline is Halloween was last year. B108, which is the new Parade Warehouse, which you would have saw the weekend last year, and B67, which is Fast and Furious, which housed Blumhouse last year. So that brings us to 10 locations, and it's the same exact 10 we saw last year. So any discussions of Shrek/Minions Theater, whatever the fuck you want to call it, have not popped up, and that would put us at 11 if we got it. So not seeming likely, but if we do, that's cool. It's an extra house.
It also confirms the TARP conversation we had last week about Fast and Furious.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was already a dead giveaway, but now it's like official, you know?
There's no argument now, so.
I am really surprised that we got all the same locations as last year, because as we know, last year was a very weird situation with, Men in Black and the whole Fear Factor Live scenario that was going on, and obviously the Minions that was being built that took Shrek out of commission. So I was under the assumption that the new locations we got, especially the extra sound stage, would be just extra for that year, and then things would go relatively back to normal the following year. But it seems like that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, I think that's something that was kind of across the community thinking it would be a stopgap to bring it back to 22. Because from what we've heard, there is still space in the Shrek Theater. The second Shrek Theater is still just standing there empty waiting.
Oh, okay.
So kind of surprising we haven't seen it. And then, of course, there are people who have also talked about Men in Black. I think that's a situation of it's easier not to do that because that's a whole tent they have to erect every year when they use it. So I do see why it's easier to use something like Fast and Furious than that, right? Because it's already there. Obviously, some work needs to be done, and it kind of gets in the way of operation, but it's not erecting a whole ass tent before building out the house itself.
Yeah, especially
And
like, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, and the Fast and Furious building itself is a very good building for something we're gonna be talking about later.
That is true.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. But isn't Fast and Furious kind of half a tent though? Or like a whole tent? Still?
It's like a half size tent. Yeah.
Okay. I'm like,
It's a
so,
long area. Like I remember,
oh yeah.
like that was a huge, like because you got the inside and the outside portion. That's a
Well,
very big
yeah,
house.
that's because you're getting like you're building like half a tent on the outside, right?
Right.
So it's
Mhm.
opposed to building the whole tent in Men in Black, and you're getting more of a house
Right.
out of it because you have the half inside portion too. So you're building less to get more, I guess, kind of in a way.
Well, also Men in Black, I feel like, especially in the summer when that space would be like being built. I mean, the tent would already be up by now if it was being put in Men in Black. But I feel like Men in Black has longer lines, right? Usually than Fast and Furious. I don't frequent the Fast and Furious ride, obviously.
You don't?
You don't
I
like
thought
going on
everyone
the
did.
party bus, Jess?
No, do you want to? Have you? Do you? I can't. I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. I'm so angry. Every time I go over there, I just get pissed because Beetlejuice Graveyard Review.
Yeah.
Fair.
I can't be over there.
Also, it technically, I know they've built the actual tent for Men in Black as late as like late March, early
Okay.
April. So I wouldn't say that makes it like a done deal, but I think we're pretty confident it's not coming back this year.
No, they're just
Good.
gonna make us walk past it.
It had one good house in its history. Congratulations, good job. It might be back. Yeah, it's possible. It could come back. Things
Just
happen.
not this year.
Things happen. Although it does look like a prime plot of land that they would like to do something with. So we'll see if that
it
happens
probably-
in the future.
Yeah, something's going in there.
What else? Hollywood House construction started. The tent has gone up in Curious George, which last year I believe was Halloween's location.
Yes, it did hold doo-doo-doo. That is correct.
Yeah. So we got some action over there as well. No fun permits to talk about, but whatever. Sticking with Hollywood, John Murdy, he loves his Q&As and his sarcastic or serious, you never know which way he's going tweets. The fun one to start with is that he said, why the hell would Dracula fight the Phantom?
Why wouldn't he?
I don't know.
Sounds like a deflection, Murdy.
Why is the Wolfman fighting?
Dracula or the mummy.
Dracula and the mummy, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It felt like a very typical John Murdy kind of joking, also trying to deny something that's real.
Mm-hmm.
He also, I'm going to try, I forgot how the actual pronunciation, the Belle Epoque era. Is that right?
I don't know because John Murdy didn't even spell it right.
He spelled it wrong.
In his tweet, he spelled Bell correctly. Good job. But he spelled it EPOCH. And then every time we tried to look up any of that kind of spelling, it would autocorrect in the Google search to EPOQUE, which is a French word. So that era, though, it's to the 1800s, to the First World War, like leading up to it in France. And that's when Phantom of the Opera takes place.
Mm-hmm.
That's the real meat and potatoes. When I pulled it up, it ends in 1880 and Phantom of the Opera is set in the 1880s.
Look at that.
Interesting.
So he's doing something.
He also did tease that the Chucky house will feature season 2. I think his correct, or his exact words were, "Why not?"
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds
You can't-
like he means it will. I guess we won't take that as confirmation, but read into that how you will.
You can't answer a question with a question, Murdy.
I mean, it's very Murdy of him, to
I
be
know.
fair. We love you, John Murdy. Your Twitter presence is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I will say, the Chucky house, maybe question mark of featuring season 2, makes me really excited for it. I mean, I was already excited for it. I love Chucky, just the character in general, no matter what iteration he is in. But I especially love season 2 of the show. I know you guys haven't finished it yet, but season 2 to me was way better than season 1. It just had a lot of the things that I love about Chucky just infused into it. Mainly the stuff that just goes off the wall, batshit crazy. And so if the house features a lot of 2 or even like half of 2, that would make me really happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been surprising if they didn't bring 2 in the first place, to be honest. But yeah, this is sort of confirmation, so I'll take that. Good, yeah, great, love it. He was also directly asked if he'd be involved with the Vegas horror Universal experience that is coming, and he said no. So it seems like maybe that'll be kind of maybe the Orlando team leading it fully, or maybe it's going to transition to a separate team that they're going to bring on board just for Vegas.
Can't wait to find out.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can wait. It's not that big of a deal, but
Well, okay. Well, whatever.
And also, the last piece of news for John Murdy Q&A news kind of was that the Parisian Courtyard House location will be used again. I know some people were going, will it be used or will it not be used this year? But it is. So, woohoo!
woohoo!
Yeah, it's a good location. It had La Llorona last year.
Yeah, had La Llorona.
Woo!
Red Bride the year before. I can't hate on that location whatsoever.
2 for 2. What did it have
It
the
also
first
had,
year you went, Duff?
I think Monsters was there in 2018 as well.
3 for 3. Holy
3
shit!
for 3 for me.
Wow.
Wow, it's the best location in Hollywood, baby.
Most consistent, definitely.
And it's so weird because it's such a weird space where you have to go outside and then you go back inside. It's a space that you wouldn't think would be like, like be able to produce consistently good houses every year because of how interesting the format is. But apparently it does. So look at that. So our next segment in news and rumors involves Legacy. As you guys know, we've been talking about Legacy for a while. He's an insider that's been giving out clues to what this year's houses might be for Hollywood and Orlando. Wait, okay, for Hollywood and Orlando. And we got another clue very recently, like just a couple of days ago. And the clue had similar things as the last iteration, but this time it just had a lot of flags, just a ton of flags. And he actually wrote on top of the clue, he says, I'll be honest, I think I helped too much on the first iteration, because if you guys remember, we our Discord and HN and Horror Nights Reddit Discord solved it incredibly fast, like a week for when the clue was posted. But it basically said, I think it helped too much in the first iteration. Let's see how the next stage goes. Let's fucking go. And it's just a bunch of flags. So we posted the clue in our Discord, HN365's Horror Fan Discord, and say, go at it. And one of our good friends, Alex, aka HHN Wiki on Twitter, solved it pretty quickly. And this was his reasoning, how he got to the conclusion that he did. I'm just going to read it out how he wrote it because it's very complicated, but I think it's really interesting how you would take all these flags and turn them into a answer to a clue, which we'll get to in just a second. So, using the first letters of each country's flag, because a bunch of countries with the flags, we get, and it's just all the first letters together. So SC, and it just goes on and on and on. These are 10 states, and it ends up being something like I said, SCSC, South Carolina, South Carolina, South Carolina, then South Carolina, Florida, Texas, Virginia, New York, North Carolina. It just ends up being a ton of states when you put all those letters together. And then you convert these states into numbers when they were admitted to the Union, which I don't think I would have ever got to that point. But he like took the extra step and went there, and you got more numbers, which is something like 88, 88, 27, 28. It goes on. When you add those numbers separated by hyphens, it gives you more numbers such as 16 16 55, blah, and it continues on. And then those numbers equal the ISBN number for a book called The Last of Us American Dreams, which obviously the clue is pointing to The Last of Us TV series or game, probably TV series though.
Holy
I,
shit.
I've seen this explanation like 10 times and I'm still lost.
I don't get
as I'm
it.
explaining it, I was like, wait, am I explaining it right? Because I'm reading it off and I'm like, this is so weird.
Insane. I can't believe
Wow.
Credit goes to Alex. Credit goes to @HHN Wiki. Make sure to
Mhm.
follow him. And once again, make sure to join our Discord where he solved the clues there. A lot of other people helped along too, and everyone just worked together to get these answers and to solve this clue as fast as possible. And as fast as possible, literally less than a whole 24 hours, which is crazy.
Insane.
So
I'll never get it. But I'm happy.
No.
I'm happy Alex can. You are much smarter than me.
So how do we feel about that now that the answer to this clue, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit later too. So we'll just
Talk about
focus
how we
on.
feel about it later. How about that?
You want to talk about it later?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that. I will say though that Legacy did comment a little bit before, like after this clue was dropped, but before everyone solved it. He made a comment, and I don't have the exact wording, but it was something revolving like, "What if the big IP isn't the biggest IP?" And so I would assume that he's meaning that what if The Last of Us IP isn't even the biggest IP to be at the event? So maybe in the end there'll be something bigger than The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so tough to think of what it could be because he's also directly shot down things like Scream and any Netflix properties. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's tough.
I have no idea. I'm so
The Last
confused.
of Us right now is the biggest thing in pop culture, like at this exact moment.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I need to go watch episode 6 as soon as we're done recording.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
That's what I'm going to do.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize.
Yep. Drop tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I don't even know where you can go. That's the bigger IP that he hasn't already directly said not coming.
In any other, I mean, in any other year, like if this was just the IP, it would be the big headliner, of the year. It'd be your American Horror Story, your Stranger Things, something along that lines. Not as big as Stranger Things, but still, very big and very popular and very modern. So, like you guys said, I am so curious to what could be bigger than Last of Us that is actually obtainable. Because there are things bigger than Last of Us that we can't get, like it. That's not happening. So
Obtainable is a very important word.
Right.
Very important.
Very important word.
And it seems like Horror Made Here is something they want to try to get going in some shape or form. So,
Oh, I will be there.
Oh, I absolutely would. It doesn't sound like it'll be this year, but when it is,
Whenever.
I will be there.
Yeah.
All right. There is some more news before we get onto our main bit of the episode, which is the fun part. So please hang on. We'll get there. I promise. You know what we're talking about. If you've been looking at rumors, Don FM has been popping up a lot, of course. The Weeknd himself has tweeted out the HBO concert. So there's going to be an episode basically about one of his concerts at SoFi Stadium. Is going to have a whole documentary, you could say, on HBO. It will be the last piece of Don FM. So, got to think there definitely won't be a Don FM house.
Right.
So if you're holding out hope for the Weeknd, the best you can hope for is that there is a Weeknd house that is not Don FM directly. And I would say don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
There's a joke there.
I was going to
Yes.
say, are you telling them to save their tears for another day?
I'm telling them to take my breath away.
As long as no one's making a sacrifice.
Well, I don't want to sacrifice the Dawn FM house,
Uh,
but
Wait, so does that mean that I won't have to hear it everywhere I go after WrestleMania, hopefully?
no
Anything?
guarantees.
Jesus. Well, wait. What's the song for WrestleMania that I keep talking about? Is that on Dawn FM?
Less Than
Yes.
Zero is on Dawn FM.
Yeah. Oh, well, so I guess he can't perform it at WrestleMania. It wasn't rumored or anything. I'm just being an asshole.
Now, the ups. I mean, there's an upside and a potential. Ooh, maybe this could be interesting, and a potential. Oh, it's just gone. Like I think the potential upside is if the weekend does come, we could have a potential of maybe a house based on things that isn't really just Dawn FM, and instead it's just an overall making some sort of original story using his other type of music that can a lot of his music can fit into a Horror Nights house. So I would be completely for doing that, especially since a lot of Dawn FM was I liked how it was represented, but for some reason it was represented in After Hours Nightmare. But on the other side of things, like we were saying, there could just be no weekend house at all, and it could just be a one and done thing, which is sad because I want to see him again. I thought his house last year was really good, but also it makes sense because it was so good last year that it'd be very, very easy for them to fuck it up.
And
Like, I mean, not hit
that would be my
anywhere near
main
the same
concern.
level.
Yeah, that it doesn't
Stranger
reach the
Things
height.
Volume 2 it.
Exactly. And I also don't expect it to come. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
And also, fun potential research for HHN. The unrated cut of Megan is coming to Peacock this Friday. So if you want to see the more gory version, which is we hope would translate to an HHN house, that's going to be available for you soon. I know I'll be watching it day one. I'm very excited to see
Yes.
Megan with some blood.
Same. Eugene and
Now, I haven't been able to confirm or figure because I've been looking like to see if this you got to pay for it or whatever. All it says is it will be streaming on Peacock starting Friday. So I'm not sure if it is a paid thing or if you need a certain tier of Peacock or if it's just going to be the general for everyone who has Peacock.
The way it's pitched, I'd assume it's probably if you have the premium Peacock, you'll get to watch it. No additional cost. It's kind of like an exclusive streaming rights. Obviously. Blumhouse, Universal, Peacock. Makes sense.
But I mean, here's another interesting question. We just talked about last week one of the clues for Legacy that that was solved. That was the Horrors of Blumhouse featuring Megan and Insidious. And if that does end up coming to the event, would the Megan portion would it just be on the unrated cut, or would they end up just going the route of the theatrical cut? Because that's probably in the end what most people will have seen regarding Megan. I don't know how I don't know how many
I
people
don't
are
think
gonna.
it'll change the premise of the movie too much. I think it'll just more show you the gore that kind of gets cut out.
You think
HHN loves gore.
I think if you're trying to showcase the kills, which you have to do in a house, theatrical version is really giving you nothing. So either they're using their imagination or they're using the unrated cut.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to show us some of the kills.
Like,
which would be great.
Without that, that's not a great HHN house, is it?
No,
because that's the only thing that saved Freaky is the kills that you got to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We got to see the bottle in the throat and everything. So I expect to see some shit, hopefully, once this movie drops.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea for everyone listening out there. If they're following the rumors and are interested in this type of house, to maybe check that version out because it might have, more stuff related to the house itself that will that we might end up seeing.
Yeah, definitely. I'd recommend it. And anyways, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it.
Yes.
Let's get on to the fun now.
Let's do it.
You got it's our favorite time of year. Spec season has really kicked into full gear because Horror Night Nightmares has dropped version 1 of their speculation map. So we have 11 things to discuss. right now. So if you haven't seen it yet, let's run through it really fast. So your 10 houses they have listed are Chucky, Universal Monsters featuring Phantom and Dracula, The Last of Us, Krampus, an original version of that, a an Anchor with an original under it, Blumhouse with Megan and Insidious, Lair of the Banshees, Devil Dogs, a Guitar and a Lightning Bolt, not listed original, I'll point out, and then some Japanese characters that appear to be kanji. And then also Unknown Scare Zones, an Unknown Lagoon Show, and then as your stage show, Nightmare Fuel. And the Simpsons ride open as an attraction. Interesting inclusion there.
That is
I don't. Okay. Like you really know something, or
Wow.
sticking
or
around.
it was just a mistake.
Oh, just yeah, right.
The confidence.
Watch
Simpsons
version
firmly open,
2.
right?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
That's what people are here to listen to us talk about, the Simpsons ride being open during HHN.
No, watch
Very
version.
lucky with the Simpsons talk.
So we have Chucky. We don't need to talk about. We've talked about that more than enough.
It's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's happening.
But next you have the Universal Monsters featuring Phantom and Dracula. It has the current location with you entering through the Music Plaza entrance. So kind of like the headliner location, if you want to call it that. I know that doesn't hold up year by year, but whatever. It feels right.
I was about to say Spirits of the Coven.
It feels right. Okay?
Would
It
like
feels
to
right.
talk to you.
It feels right.
I love that it's Phantom / Drac. It's not versus on the spec map. I feel like that's very specific. I feel like they would put a V.
Because why would Dracula fight the man?
Why would they do- I'm telling you, Mike, it's because you have to think about it in the same way from last year. Dracula is a mysterious beneficiary and he buys the opera house. I'm gonna hold on to this story until they announce the house and tell me it's not this. It makes sense.
It's beautiful.
That's why Dracula won on the last night.
What a gorgeous story. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. How do you guys feel about this now that I've
I mean, again, I'm excited about Phantom, and I think the sets could be phenomenal, and it's going to give a vibe that just is. It's a specific vibe. It's gothic and beautiful and tragic. Dracula, I see how he fits. I still don't need him, but whatever. If they make it work, it's whatever.
Us loving a gothic, sad house. Never.
Wow, how crazy! It's not like I love a house called Gothic or anything.
Maybe they added Dracula, and they could have chosen any monster. So like, insert any monster here. But maybe they added Dracula to try to give scares some variation, because you can't just have Phantom popping out of every boo hole, you know. So maybe they're like, okay, so we need another character or another or like more things that can pop out instead of just Phantom. Because I don't know, does Phantom have any other characters? I haven't watched the.
It's
the
just
movie
Phantom.
right.
There's no one else in the movie. It's just the
Oh,
Phantom and
okay,
the opera.
Okay, horror characters that could will pop out of a boo hole.
Christine is kind of the only other main character, right?
Okay, let's think a little more creatively, guys. So they're putting on an opera. You have stagehands, and he kills stagehands. He's hangs them during the show, like the Phantom does. So you can have stagehands popping out of dark corners with ropes, with whatever. You can have ballerinas. You can have honestly iconic characters. You can have the ballet teacher. You can have Carlotta, the opera singer, who's jealous of Christine. The Phantom actually sabotages her. I don't know if all of this is I believe it's in the novel and the movie, but the musical has all of these side stories that you could pull into the house as well. So I'm going to argue.
No, I mean, go for it. I haven't watched the movie, so I really have no, or musicals. I don't have any other to say except I'm not sure. Maybe, maybe you could work on it completely alone with nothing else going on. But I part of me thinks, why do you get someone like Dracula or someone with a lot of minions like Dracula? You have all of his brides and everything like that. Why? So like maybe Dracula's like, okay, because Phantom, we can also fill the other boo holes with brides and stuff, so sort of try to give the scare some variation. Even if we had vampires every single monster's house since 29, so I wouldn't say it's too much variation, but
Okay.
it's something, I guess.
Let me give you two big reasons here. One, thematically, aesthetically, he fits.
Yes.
Two, he's Dracula, and he has the most power, not physically, but like drawing power and in pop
Marketability.
culture. Marketability as any monster does. So
Yep.
there's that.
Unfortunately. Him and Frankenstein are like, I would argue, the two, and then the Mummy probably behind them, but like those are the two big ones that are going to bring in the money and always have. So
That's why on all the Bride of Frankenstein merch, it was just
it was
Frankenstein.
all him. I'm very excited for this though. Gotham.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, Theater Man Mike, what you got? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say. So, correct me if I'm wrong. There's two Universal Monsters Phantom of the Opera movies, right? There's the silent film, and then they made like a talkie So they made like a silent film in the 20s and a talkie in the 40s. Correct?
Yeah,
I believe so.
And Lon Chaney played the Phantom in both of
Yes.
them.
Yes.
So there's a lot of like material to pull from when it comes to the Phantom. So I do believe that they definitely have a lot to pull from to flesh out a full house. Now they added Dracula, I'm sure, to give more to the house. But if they did just went with Phantom, there's probably enough material. But I'm not against the idea of adding some of the other Universal monsters. We've yet to see a Universal Monsters house that's just one monster carrying the whole thing, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, no, not even in Hollywood, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Close
And
they
that's
had
kind of
was,
shocking for them.
Frankenstein meets Wolfman, and it's still two. So
Bride of Frankenstein Lives doesn't really count.
And that's
Yeah.
you have
It was mostly
Frankenstein involved. You have the Bride of Dracula involved. Actually, that's probably the closest we've come. Where it really focused mainly
on the
yeah.
bride. But still,
Yeah.
you had Frankenstein, you had the Dracula's bride.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, it was her story.
A Gilman feature.
So maybe we would get something like that, where it's Phantom story, but we get cameos of Dracula, some of these other Universal monsters in there. I'm not sold that it's
like
just
Clyde?
Dracula. Yeah. I'm not sold that it's just Dracula. There could be more that we've seen. I think Hunchback would fit thematically perfectly. That's
I
just
wish they would have done.
that's not a rumor. That's just Mike dreaming because it fits thematically, I think. But yeah, so maybe we'll get some more cameos of other Universal monsters.
No, it's funny that you mentioned that because I know a lot of people were kind of hoping this would be a Phantom / Hunchback like house, like those two monsters in particular were, I feel like, wanted by a lot of the community. I've seen a lot of people like voice that specific house, and I mean, we haven't gone through Phantom Dracula, but I'd say most likely I would have liked Phantom Hunchback better, like because I like.
I'm holding out hope that we have a cameo.
Wasn't Phantom Hunchback one of my predictions?
When we
did that, or hopes,
right.
because I said the backseat monsters, and I specifically know I said Phantom and Hunchback because I just want my sad boys. That's really all I want in a house.
Oh, you weren't talking about the She-Wolf of London? That wasn't your backseat monster.
I mean, she could be if she wants to be, but I think I said Phantom. Oh, I don't know who the third one was. But I'm happy with whatever I can deal without Drac. But the sets, I just hope that they use the space that they're rumored to be, having with the soundstage, because, I won't keep going into Coven and ripping it apart, but they did not utilize the space there.
Yeah. All right, we've talked about this on a previous episode. Let's talk about the new stuff. The next one being maybe the most exciting of the bunch, going over to the location where you enter through Jimmy Fallon into Soundstage 23, The Last of Us.
Yes.
What an IP that is right now. The biggest hit in the world at the moment. It's taken over pop culture. What a show. What a game series, too. Mm-hmm. It's I don't see anyone upset about it. I'll say that much.
No, I
It
haven't seen a
is.
single negative thing.
If you could ask me to pick a single IP for this year, I think that would be it. So
Hmm.
I'm ecstatic about the possibility of this coming to HHN 32 and hopefully in Hollywood as well. I'd love to see both incarnations. I think the sets and the variations of places they go, they just travel so much and see so many different things and visit so many locations. There's so many variations in the characters you would get, and the scare actors would be so diverse in the styles of monsters. There's so much fun to be had. There's so many moments that they can recreate. It's it has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I will say that the TV series is a lot less jump scary than I would say the games are.
Yeah.
So I think you're probably going to have to pull from some of the games, or just kind of like throw
jump scares.
Just throw in jump scares, throw in some of these characters. It's not going to be one of those that's like a shot for shot from the TV series, because the TV series doesn't necessarily lend itself to a haunted house in the same way that like something like The Walking Dead would have, because there was a lot more type of jump scare type of stuff throughout that series than there is The Last of Us.
Yeah, I think in the house you just kind of take the scenes they go to and whatever characters they encounter, you turn them to a jump scare.
Yeah,
rather
just
than
throw in a lot of clickers.
Yeah,
Oh my god, that makeup! I talked about it on the live yesterday, but that makeup it has so much potential. Just the clickers alone, because I know like they focus so heavily. HBO did like on the makeup for them. Oh, I know Universal's gonna kill it.
I sure hope so.
No, I know. I have confidence.
I don't know if HBO would let them not without
right.
Quote unquote consequences, because that's a big ball to drop, and I don't know if HBO would be too happy about that.
It's probably going to be like the Demogorgons, where they have to like start thinking outside the box, and the Demogorgons were the first time, they use 3D printed materials on masks. So think outside the box and it'll make them use their brains this year a little more.
So what are the 3 iterations of like the fungi infested person? So there's like the really fast ones, right? That have a specific name, which I can't remember. Then there's the clickers, which is like the middle one, where they just use like their sense of sound, and they make like a weird clicking noise. And then there's that last one where you don't see often, but you saw it in the last episode, spoiler alert, where they're like huge and they're like fortified and they're like really hard to kill, because they're like the fungi has made them like essentially like a suit of armor.
So that's the bloater.
That's the bloater. The last one. So what's the fast one?
So you have runners, stalkers, clickers, bloaters.
Okay, so there's 4 of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's technically more if you go to the game as well, but
okay,
I think throughout the series, those are kind of the main like that you'll see.
Right, but after the bloaters, they like essentially die. Right, once you get like to a certain thing, they like essentially like stop moving.
We also don't know if that works in this series though, because they got rid of the spores aspect that comes from the game. Okay. So we don't know if they have the control over the pack like they do in the game.
Okay,
we haven't figured that out yet.
Fair enough. So yeah, there's a lot going into the lore of The Last of Us that the TV show has not explored it.
Yeah. So if you weren't aware, kind of in the game, it's kind of like a situation: if you kill the queen, you kill the hive, and that's kind of how it worked with the bloaters. You killed the bloater, you killed all the runners, and they all kind of connected.
Right.
Whereas in the show, we don't know. We know they're connected in a way, but we don't know if it works like that without the spores.
Well, I mean, what you just said, Mike, I haven't watched the show yet or played the game, so I'm pretty blind. I know I'm going to get to it. But what you just said about like there being different levels of creatures or zombies kind of different levels of these or different tiers of them makes me really excited from a scare standpoint.
Yes.
Because I love the first Stranger Things. I think it was great. One of my only complaints is that pretty much every scare was a Demogorgon, and that's the only thing you could use besides the humans. It was just Demogorgon. But if these creatures have like completely different looks depending on who got infected or what stage the creature is. That could make for like a very interesting variation of, I mean, like Jess said, makeup and costume design and scares all around.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I think for like the general population, you probably won't catch on to that. But I think it's a very specific part of the game and the movie that they do have these like um, evolutions or these stages that the infection causes them, and it will definitely be part of the house, like the different types of and it's becoming a plot point of the film as well.
Oh yeah,
Or the
I
TV show.
think seeing like a well executed bloater would absolutely blow minds. Like what would go into creating that costume? To have someone actually walking around in it would be absolutely insane.
Right.
So if they pull that off well, yeah, this house is going to absolutely slap to the highest extent.
I'm
When
so excited.
when was the last time we had a video game house? Because even though this is probably going to be based on the
Silent
show,
Hill or
it's
Resident Evil,
Resident
whichever
Evil.
one.
Yeah.
when was that?
Silent Hill was before Resident Evil. Resident Evil was what,
in
like
23.
20, yeah, 23.
Yeah.
In 23.
Silent Hill was the year
22.
22. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a bit since we had something video
It'll be
game
10
related
years.
at the event.
And technically, will this be a video game house? At the end of the day, it came from a video game, but it's going to be like we expect. We don't know, obviously, but we do expect this to be the interpretation of the HBO show.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't, like you guys were saying, isn't the HBO show just made by the guy who made the games?
Oh, I
And
mean,
isn't
He's
it?
directing it. Yeah.
They did it really well. Like
They did.
It's 90% the game. There's
Okay.
some scene by scene, but they have changed things. So
Yeah.
there
Right.
would be a difference if they went game or show.
Right.
Okay.
It's just a much more of a drama and less more of a horror, like survival horror that the game is.
Yeah.
Because most of the gameplay is, wandering around. It's essentially the cutscenes. They've expanded the cutscenes of the
Exactly.
game to flesh it out into a drama story.
Mhm.
So you get a lot less of that, jump scare type of thing because those happened in the gameplay of the game.
Very cool.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. We're moving over to Soundstage 24, Krampus Original. So we know we've already done the IP, the Krampus film at HHN 26, and now we have it rumored as an original take. And I don't know about you guys, but this really excites me, specifically if it's Krampus, because I think the film itself was more of a comedy horror that leaned a bit comedy. And I really hope that we get a Krampus and in general Christmas house that's just pure dark horror, scary, and they go all the way in. He's eating children. It's like La Llorona, especially La Llorona we saw in Hollywood where they fucked kids up with no remorse.
Yeah.
Do that with Krampus because that's his story. That's what he does.
Yep.
Yeah. It feels like I feel like we've talked about this on the live, so I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I'm not. But I feel like they're continuing the urban legend, the La Llorona, the Chupacabra, now Krampus. It's a German urban legend. And like he is meant to scare kids. The whole point is he scares the kids into behaving during Christmas, or he's going to eat you. And like people dress up and come to like your house and scare the shit out of your kids. Like I want to see this. I feel like I'm gonna laugh the whole way through it. But like you're not supposed to.
Because you're sadistic and twisted. Yes.
You're gonna be cackling with me. Don't even.
No, I'm not saying I won't. We're sick,
I know.
disgusting people who enjoy watching children be murdered in haunted houses.
More babies in bassinets.
Not like real children dying, just the fake ones in houses.
No. Oh God, that's too dark, even for us.
This one would
don't
be.
kill a dog. Then I got a problem.
Oh no, Helix. Does Krampus kill dogs? Oh God. Oh, Jonathan, what were you gonna say?
Okay. So this one really excites me because I don't think I've seen a Christmas / holiday themed Horror Nights house before. Since 20, I don't think I've seen one. So being able to see how Horror Nights tackles that would be really exciting to me. In addition to this, if this ends up being true, and I know we're talking, we're already talking about how like we're gonna laugh at like stupid shit that this house might have. Just the concept of Krampus, and what he does and how he kills and whatever. This also seems like something that I'm gonna latch onto and just fucking laugh at the entire way through. Like this concept itself seems very, very like silly for a haunted house scenario in my head. Like weirdly silly. Like it's not silly, but in my head it is. And it feels like it's gonna be almost like my depths of fear, where I just like laugh during the entire way through, even if you're not really supposed to.
No, I totally agree. That's why I'm excited for it. Because I feel like you're just gonna hear the 365 crew cackling if you're in the house with us at any point. So I'm sorry. But I feel like we're all gonna latch onto this. And I've also never seen like a holiday house, Jonathan. So
There we go. We
I'm
both
so
experienced it together.
I'm so ready. I really hope that this is true. I really do.
I need it. I really need it. And I want it, but I want it to the point where we're not going to cackle. As crazy and twisted as we are, I want it to be so dark.
Yeah.
There's no cackling. It's just sick.
That we're even scared?
You were not cackling in La Llorona. You were dying.
Oh no, I was
No.
that first bitch, like the one that was hiding in the chapel or every time. I knew she was there, but it didn't matter. I was dying.
Mhm.
So I say I'm gonna cackle, but I'll cackle like on October 31st.
That's what I
Don't
want.
catch me laughing
I want
through
La
September.
Llorona level scare.
Yeah.
In a Krampus house. I don't know if it's possible. I get it. La Llorona is naturally a bit scarier, but like go that direction at least.
They can do it.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Sticking in Soundstage 24 on the map, we have an Anchor original.
Anchor.
Anchor.
That's an interesting placement.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly where Dead Man's Pier was last year. And of course, a lot of people are immediately going, Dead Man's Pier 2?
Yep. They definitely are.
And that would be, we don't need it back to back. We really don't. As good as the sets were, and
Right?
I don't think there's enough of the story to continue as is. I just don't see it. I don't see it.
It wasn't consistent enough.
I mean, this is a house that was a lot of people's goats. Like, I just don't know. Can you catch lightning in a bottle twice?
Like
here?
back-to-back years,
Back-to-back?
especially.
Yeah.
I don't see them trying to do that. I just don't.
And here's another thing too, right? Like in the beginning, the first night, the first week, even up to maybe like through the first month, Dead Man's Pier was number one on a lot of people's list. But it
Hi, it's
definitely,
Hello.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
yes, but it
Anchor eater.
definitely, but it definitely fell for a lot of people,
Hi,
and
it's me.
not
Hello.
in the way.
Again.
Hello.
Yes. But like, remember, I wasn't on 365 before. I was listening to you guys.
Sorry, Jonathan.
Come on, you know what we thought. Stop it.
I do. No. I'm saying I know. I've listened to it. I don't know. I'm saying what you thought in addition to other people thought. It's been seeped into my mind because I've listened to all the podcasts before. But moving on from that. So this house fell for a lot of people, and not in a good way. Like not in a like, oh well, there were just other houses that were better. A lot of it was just like people, and I know some of you guys too, went like it just wasn't hitting. It wasn't, the scares weren't there at all. It felt like there was a lack of energy in the house, and I wonder if by the end of the year, a lot of people remembered it. Like, yeah, it had great sets, but as a complete package, it never really hit what everyone wanted it to hit, at least after the first day. So why is this the house out of everything to be like, all right, this one gets a sequel? It's a little interesting.
Yeah, I would understand why, because I think, especially if you just kind of take in the general public, like this is still an absolute banger and an all-timer of a house, right? Overall.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it is. And that's not like saying, oh, the spec map's wrong. I'm saying it's just an anchor. It could mean so many things, and it could be purposely attempting to deceive you to think Dead Man's Pier. You know, this Horror Night Nightmares does not come out and just give you 10 houses off the bat and say, here's your 10 houses you're going to see in 7 months. That's not how it works.
No.
They're going to try to mislead you or give you wrong answers purposely. So
Get you
there's going to be
excited.
more maps. So there's more fun to be had throughout spec season.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. So anchor could mean pirates. They've never done a pirate house before.
Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
It could Forsaken. It could be Titanic just had an anniversary, so it could be maybe revisiting SS Titanic
Ooh,
or a new take on the Titanic story as an original.
Mhm.
I'd get down for that.
Right? I think that'd be like, what if you were just stuck down in like the hold, like just like the lowest class during the Titanic sinking, and that was the house,
I like
and
to
you don't
think
make it out.
like how James Cameron visited the wreckage, but if like you actually went in the ship and everyone was still alive, like, you know, living dead kind of thing. So you were experiencing like you went there, but everything was still happening. Like
Oh, that's
nothing
cool.
happened, but they're all dead and it's all old and, you know,
Ooh,
yeah.
I love that.
I think this actually might be a good place to throw it in, because on the forums itself, where we were talking about, you know, how is likely all like there are some houses on here that were intentionally like put in that weren't right, just so we, you know, can keep these spec maps going and keeping the speculation going on the forums. I think a user called Ringrig said 8 out of 10, meaning 8 out of 10 of the houses were correct, at least according to the current rumors going on right now. And Legacy liked that post. So I think it's safe to assume that Legacy also believes that 8 out of 10 of the properties on, or you know, of the houses on here, at least as of right now, things always change in the season, are correct. So it's interesting. This might be one of the two they're referring to that isn't correct.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Ooh,
necessarily be surprised, but I think there's one that's we're all looking at like I think that's a red herring. Right? We'll get to that one
Mhm.
soon. But I could see this being the other one. It's possible.
Yeah.
But I feel like I don't know if we're saying flat out wrong. Maybe they're talking about another one that's directly named. You know, because it's tough to flat out say like, "Oh, this is wrong" when it's just a symbol. I don't know. We'll see. We're going to discuss the other 5 really soon.
So hear me out, guys. When Legacy talks about an IP bigger than The Last of Us, is he talking about the 2002 movie Ghost Ship? And the-
Stop it. I knew you were going to
That's a
say
little-
that.
Oh, ship resurgence. Here we go.
Yeah.
Can I give an even dumber guess that's not an IP?
Please don't, but okay.
Oh, you're gonna love hate this. So what's the first thing you think of when you see an anchor? For me, it's bad tattoos. What if it's like a tattoo artist who fucks people up?
That's the icon.
This is just where
Oh, the tattooer.
This is your way of getting a version of the Killustrator, but they're a tattoo artist.
It's
Ed
what I
Hardy
want.
house.
It's an
It's an Ed Hardy
Oh no.
original house.
but modernized. It's Vineyard Vines. A Vineyard Vines house. Everyone's wearing Sperry's and whales on their shirts.
Oh my god.
Pink shirts, navy blue shorts, and Sperry's.
They're all yelling, is anybody gonna play Mo Bamba?
I got hose.
Oh goodness. Moving on from the anchor, please.
All right. Another one we don't have to spend too much time on because we talked about it last week, but that's The Horrors of Blumhouse featuring Megan and Insidious, which I know we're all very excited about the potential of Megan in a house. First of all, we've all been
Body
there,
rolls.
discussed that. We're all going to body roll. I'm doing it right
Body
now.
rolls for Megan.
Insidious, again, I think, you know, we've seen it twice, and I think both times it's been one of the more intense parts of the house. Well, one of them, it was the whole house. And I think, you know, there's potential that this is very much a formula where It is what we saw in Blumhouse last year. You have the more comedy horror and the more direct, super scary horror section.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked last year. It worked really well.
It did.
So,
And I'd wager that this one has more of a route to success because Megan is much more lined up for a house than I think Freaky was. Right? I think it has more scenes and more memorable moments, depending on how the unrated cut looks. Maybe more gore. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, but I think you can kind of nail the scary part as good as Black Phone was. I think you can make pretty much any scary property into that. I think it's getting the comedy horror right that's more of the struggle, and I think this is kind of trending towards it could be a hit.
Definitely.
It's such a more relevant property too. Like last year with horrors with when Horrors of Blumhouse was announced and Freaky came out. I know a lot of people were like, I didn't even see that one, because it came out during a time where I think it just went straight to streaming. It didn't even go in theaters because of the
Yeah, it was a 2020 release, right?
yeah.
So because of everything going on there, it just didn't even go to theaters. So I think a lot of people didn't even either know what Freaky was or knew about it but didn't watch it. Megan, on the other hand, I mean, it's dominated the box office. It's become a trend on social media and TikTok, and it's hard for anyone who likes horror remotely, or even people who don't like horror, to not know what Megan is.
Oh, we have comments
right off the
on our TikTok saying, I don't know about HHN, I don't know about horror, but if Megan's there, I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's The Last of Us and Megan. And honestly, I've seen more comments about Megan.
Like, it is just taken over, not pop culture as much as Last of Us as a whole, but specifically social media. The dances,
But also,
the music, everything about it is just all over social media. So even if they are not horror fans in the slightest, Megan, it resonates.
absolutely. And the fact is, it was a PG-13 horror movie, so a lot more people were able to see it, or maybe parents were more comfortable letting their teenagers see it. So these kids are seeing it, and they're going to see that it's coming to HHN. They're going to want to go. I'm sorry, but this is going to bring more teenagers to the event, which is not a bad thing. You need to bring in the new generation.
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
And no, this was not a new Stranger Things thing. I know people want to say that. Stranger Things was meant to bring in the kids, never done before. No, this has always been the case. You need the next audience to roll in. Always. It's nothing new. It works in cycles. It's how the event goes. Welcome to HHN. I don't know what to tell you. Because all these people who are older, including me, going, there was some property that resonated more towards a younger person than the others. That's just how it works. And it's not an intentional, I want kids to come to the event thing. It's they're taking what's relevant, and what's relevant draws in younger crowds. It's simple.
Yeah. We're going to get older, but the crowds are going to get younger.
Yeah. Well, to us, at least.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is.
The crowds are not getting younger. We're just getting older.
We're getting older.
Exactly.
All right, Jonathan.
Even you, Jonathan.
Yes,
even you.
13-year-olds have been going to HHN since the beginning of HHN. And,
yeah,
we know
that's literally marketed for 13
have been
and
going since they were literally toddlers. It's a thing that happens. It's not uncommon. It's just HHN, and it's never changed. It's always been the same.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So
moving on.
Yeah.
To probably my least excited name on this map.
Can you say it like that scare actor did? Please. Please.
I could try. Hold on.
Please.
Hold on. How dare ye enter the lair of the banshee?
Oh, it's so much like Shrek. It's so Shrek.
Sorry, I was trying not to laugh as I did it too. Lair of the banshees.
Thank you for doing that, Duff. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. It was it was not a great scare zone in HHN 26, assuming this is what it's based off of. And it was not an issue of they just kind of missed the mark, and it was a good concept. I think the concept just wasn't great. The aesthetic was poor. There was really no story. There was no setting. It was just a poor scare zone.
So it was Central Park, right?
Correct.
So 26 was a year that I was not able to attend. but it was in Central Park.
Mm-hmm. Being a bad scare zone in Central Park is not easy.
No. I did look it up, and the logo is literally the same from the scare zone, like the font and everything.
Yeah.
So I would assume that it is. But I didn't get to see it, but we had a roast session the other day looking at the wiki. I don't know why there are tigers in this scare zone. I don't know why the makeup got worse, but
There was tigers?
There's
Yeah.
nightingales.
There were nightingales.
It was like if you brought your kids to the state fair and they wanted tiger face paint.
But like not like I think the Florida State Fair face paint artists do better.
And they don't make
Then.
you speak with a Scottish accent.
How dare ye enter the lair of
Oh,
the
it
man.
was set in Scotland?
I mean,
Or was
it's
It's like Celtic.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
Celtic.
Like Irish.
Scott, something like
Highlands, that kind of shit.
that. Whatever. I don't understand it. I don't know how you had a bad Central Park zone and then a trick or treat the next year.
You had to save yourself, basically.
I guess. And IP saved it, which is, I mean, not shocking at Universal, but
So basically, all I have to say about this is, if it is a completely different concept and just keeping the name and the Banshee concept on its own, sure, I guess it could be good. But
fine.
based off of what I saw before, it's going to be very hard for me to be excited about this until I see it.
I'm gonna have to.
I like the idea.
No, you really don't. It's okay. You really don't have to.
I like the idea of taking something that did not work and re-innovating it and trying to fix past mistakes, and not only trying to fix past mistakes but trying to make it like really trying to make like, all right, now we're gonna make a good house out of this thing that we really bombed last time.
See,
I like that creative way of doing things.
I agree if the concept was good in the first place. I'm not sure this was a good concept in the first place. Depths of Fear is the one I like to go to. I know you love the house, Jonathan, whatever, but
I do.
It's one where I love the concept and it just fell flat for me at the end of the day. I was super hyped for it, let me down. I'd love to see a second take on it and see them nail it. This is one where nothing about it felt right from the top down. So I think it has to be, sure, the same concept of Banshees, but then like fully overhauling what it was, which I don't think is hard because there wasn't much to it, to be honest. So
is there an example where this has happened before, where they took kind of a not so popular house or scare zone and brought it back and as a sequel and it shined?
I don't think so. They usually bring back popular ones, or at least ones that were relatively
good, right?
well received. Yeah.
And they usually don't wait this long to bring it back either, right?
I mean, you have like Dead Exposure was 10 years.
I mean, for like a scare zone into a house.
Oh, I mean, that's kind of a newer trend in general, to be fair. So,
I mean, Saws and Steam was the next year.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the only one that you could say the same outside of like Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
But I think IPs and originals, you kind of look at it a little differently. Yeah.
Yeah, where we had
Originals usually get a bit of more gap than IPs. So,
can I tell you guys something interesting? Because I wanted to look up like actual Banshee, like where it comes from. It's also an urban legend. It's an Irish urban legend. So that now gives us a possible Krampus urban legend, Lair of the Banshees possible urban legend, and it is an Irish. It also is compared to like the Irish version of La Llorona.
Oh,
kind of.
Okay.
Because again, it's like it's a woman-like creature that's kind of ghastly. So
maybe we get a complete new take on this urban legend.
I hope
and
so.
And they throw whatever they've done before out, and we get a totally new concept.
I really hope so.
She has a whole description that the scare zone did not copy. Like a gray cloak over a green dress. Eyes are red from weeping.
Well, they had the red eyes.
Yeah, they did. Red hair, red glowing, like bright hair with a ghastly complexion. They did the ghastly thing.
Like Pokemon or the...
No, like pale, like a ghost.
Okay.
Tough, like a ghost.
I mean, that's a ghost too. It's a ghost type Pokemon. Anyways.
I don't, whatever. I don't know. I really just, I guess it being possibly in a tent would make sense then. To me, I don't know why. Smaller spaces, tighter little caves and shit.
Yeah, and they do have this in Sprung Tent too, so it does make sense based off what the location should be versus the actual physical location it's in. So,
I mean, Sprung Tent 2 has been pretty good the last couple of
I
years.
mean, you've had Bugs, you've had Wicked Growth,
Yeah.
Depths of Fear.
Yes.
Hive. Come on,
Depths of
Hive,
Fear.
guys.
Yeah. Texas Chainsaw, baby.
I didn't go through that one, but yes.
It's no 30 to Jonathan.
No.
Nothing will be except the weekend.
I know. Lair the Banshee. I guess we'll find out. I always love like a female, led cast, but I don't know why. I feel like
they
I'm
didn't
always
go
gonna
that way for the scare zone. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, I don't want to get any hopes up because I'm afraid to be covened.
Well, I don't think you'll get your hopes up too much about this one, anyways. Don't worry.
It's impossible based off those pictures on the wiki.
Shall we just move on then? We don't need to trash something that we don't even know if is going to come to the event anymore.
Well, the next one also has a voice
It
that
does.
goes along.
And I'm worried this I alluded to it before. I'm worried this is the red herring potentially of the map, and I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
I don't think I necessarily is my most hyped thing, but I want it more than Lair of the Banshees. I'll say that much. Or at least I want. Okay, before we get there, it's Devil Dogs.
Double dog.
Why do you think it's the red herring? Is it just too far out there of a concept?
I think so. First of all, if you're talking about the Slaughter Cinema one, I think there are many more properties they'd pick from Slaughter Cinema before they do Devil Dogs as a standalone house.
Right.
Shitty skins.
Two, I don't know if they would do a Slaughter Cinema standalone spin-off of one of the films before they do just a straight up
Sequel.
Slaughter Cinema sequel. It just feels out of place. It feels like something that like someone's really reaching if that's what they do.
Yeah. And it's just in one setting. It's in a bar. We talked about this on the live. Like, yeah, it could take place in one place, but that worries me, as well as that makeup looked really involved in Slaughter Cinema. And that's okay for 2 or 4 scare actors for the night because they had full face appliances and they were really well applied. You can't do that for a cast of 40, 50 for the night. I don't even know how many you need to staff a house, to be honest. So that just sounds like a lot probably there. So that worries me. And then, if they are going to do this, then the makeup, is it going to have to take a back seat then? And we're going to do masks and it's not going to have the same effect. Because I think that they were scary because they really did look like human, dog.
It was great. If you don't know the story, they're like basically werewolf bikers, and the one scene took place in like their biker bar.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that HHN sure loves to set houses in bars. There's a long track record.
There is.
They do love a bar.
Speakeasies, bars.
There was 2 bars this past year alone.
Yeah.
Or I guess 3 technically if you can count the weekend as a bar as well.
From dusk till dawn.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of bars.
A lot of bars. I mean, yeah, I feel like there would be a sequel, like you said, Duff. Or this is just on here to make us all excited, and then, eventually it'll be something else.
Yeah. But they picked the wrong property if they want to get me too excited. I'm excited in the sense that it's a Slaughter Cinema spinoff, but I would pick like 4 more before this one from Slaughter Cinema.
I completely agree. My first reaction when I saw Devil Dogs on this map was like, holy fuck, because it's something I remember from Slaughter Cinema. Oh my god. And then, as we all started thinking about it, and I started to remember wait, do I ever remember what was in Devil Dogs?
You remember the one?
Because I only went to this house twice, and a lot of
Devil Dogs.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember, of course, the voice went in my head immediately when reading it. But I mean, other than that, I remember the bar set looked cool. I don't think I got any good runs at this particular scene, and it wasn't anything super interesting that stood out in my mind. I thought it was a little funny segment of a house. But the stuff that stood out of my mind in Slaughter Cinema was the outlandish crap. That was amazing. The Cult of the Beast Baby, or like you said, Jess, Shitty's Kids, or Amazon Cannibals from Planet Hell,
or Midnight Snack 2, The House,
or Midnight
Storming.
All of those pop out in my head. Devil Dogs is one that like I know is in Slaughter Cinema, but like I'll forget it is until I see it. Like until I see it popped up somewhere. It just wasn't one that I cared too much about. I liked it, but it does not. I don't think it needs a whole house, especially. I mean, werewolves are something we can have every year, but I mean, we just had like Wolfman 2. Like I don't know, it's a different thing, but
Let's
still.
lock werewolves in the what is it, room 101, 110, whatever the fuck that game is, Duff. Let's lock them in the room for a little bit with the zombies.
Room 101, yeah, please.
That's the thing.
Bye. See ya.
But okay, so do you guys think that because there was a rumor going around that this year was going to be sequel heavy, or houses we had seen before? So if you look at this, Chucky's been done before, Monsters, obviously. Let's ignore Last of Us. That's the IP that I feel like they had to bring. Krampus, we could say, is a second take on a house.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is like so far until we get to the next two, we don't really know. But this all lines up with that rumor. So is that true? Is the rumor true now, or is it them playing into that rumor with red herrings just until we get version 2 or 3 of this map?
I think that's the most likely case, to be honest.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring it up.
So historically, how often has there been a red herring on version 1 of the map?
Every year.
Every year.
Every year. At least a couple, and I think back in the day it used to be a lot more.
I think last year
percentage.
I think last year they actually like right off rip had 7 correct. I think like 1 or 2 were like kind of clues to the correct one, but it was obvious they were right. But there were still like 3 that were just not at the event.
Right.
And some that were on the map that were planned that was correct, that just ended up not being correct by the end of the.
That's part of 3, some things do change. It's February. It's we do not have a fully locked in lineup unless they are very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, is this Sprung Tent that's on the map here that it's featured in? Is this the one where Slaughter Cinema was?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have the Dead Man's Pier sequel in the same soundstage and the Slaughter sequel in the same sound, or in the same time.
Sounds a little fishy to me.
So maybe those are your 2 red herrings.
Oh, fishy. Huh. So can we talk about the? Well, it's not an elephant. It's more like a guitar and a lightning bolt in the room.
Yes, please.
Please.
You mean the one that
guitar
doesn't specifically state original under it?
Yeah. And Duff. What does lightning bolt mean again? Can you remind me what it can mean?
So a guitar relates to music, which you can relate to FM.
Right.
The lightning bolt is obviously dawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first thing.
If you flip the 2, it's Dawn FM, which you don't know is an album by The Weeknd.
Good answer.
He sent that in our group chat, and I said, "How does lightning bolt equal dawn?" And he said, "Because I wanted to." So I just needed him to do that on air for you guys.
For what it's worth, I absolutely do not believe that is the case, or that Dawn FM is coming to the event.
No.
But I had fun thinking about it.
Hey, I didn't, because if I have to listen to The Weeknd one more time.
Siri, play Sacrifice.
No, I will say, I have to speak up for TikTok because everyone's screaming over there that this means Ride the Lightning, and Ride the Lightning means Stranger Things.
Sure.
So I have to yell it. I just have to say it for TikTok. I'm not saying I believe it.
I would like to point out real quick before we even get into that Legacy, the trusted insider who we have known definitely assists with this map, actually has straight up said he has no reason to believe that Netflix at all will be involved in this event.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Reiterated this, by the way.
Yeah. I have to believe, but I just had to say it for them because there's at least 100 comments on there yelling at me that I'm dumb.
I will say, if we're gonna play devil's advocate here, which it'd be weird for first of all, it'd be weird for Stranger Things to come at all this year, since why? There's no new season coming out next year. There's no new season this year.
I would take Stranger Things season 4 right now. I'm cool with that.
I mean, yes, but in terms of in terms of Netflix wanting it to be at the event, usually it's for it helps. Season 1 happened during season 2, and season 3 was season 2 and 3 came out during the time of season 3. You know, it all sort of connected in
Like
the
that same
promotion
summer
of it all.
they had just released. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's inaccurate.
Stranger Things is big enough where it doesn't matter. In worst case scenario, they sell a ton of merch
True. That's very true.
and get a lot of money out of Universal for leasing out the property.
And there is a new season coming, but it's a couple years out, right?
2024, is it?
Sure. Yeah. I think, yeah.
And it's going to be the last season, right? The final
Yep.
season.
Yeah.
But like, here's the devil's advocate take. So Legacy, like we just talked about before, said there or hinted that there might be a property bigger than The Last of Us, and we've already described in detail how we don't know what that could be because The Last of Us is humongous, absolutely humongous right now, and so incredibly popular. Stranger Things would beat that.
Yeah, that would be the answer.
Yeah, it is. That's like kind of the only answer right now that's relevant in any way. Like, what else could it be outside of Scream, which he has also explicitly stated is not coming to the event?
Guitar lightning bolt means Ghostface.
I mean, The Conjuring. I mean, there are a few others, but again, they're not obtainable. Right?
No. Is Conjuring bigger than Stranger Things right now?
No.
I don't know.
No, I would say bigger than The Last of Us.
Oh,
it's not bigger than the Stranger
Okay.
Things, but would make sense for him to say it would be a big IP.
Yeah. I don't even know currently at this moment that would be bigger than Last of Us.
I don't think so.
Last of Us is just overtaken pop culture, not to Stranger Things level, but pretty far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, do we have any, besides Lightning equals Dawn, do we have any guesses?
Boy.
I think The Weeknd would be bigger than Last of Us. Although we have already
could say that.
We could say if The Weeknd did return, that would make sense for him to say.
Yeah, that's true.
You want me to read through the TikTok comments and give you all the guitar lightning bolt answers that I missed?
I mean, not all. Give me some.
No, I'll give you some of the good ones. So obviously, people have said Metallica leads to Stranger Things. A lot of people have just said Metallica. Mm-hmm. They hold on to their personal, music and everything so fucking close. It's not happening, y'all. Iron Maiden, same vein. I don't think any of this means that. I jokingly said Kiss because lightning bolt. There's really nothing else more interesting. Somebody twisted it to mean Billie Eilish, but I really don't know if you're paying attention.
Billie Eilish, who pulled out of the event herself?
Yeah.
That's
supposedly.
There's no.
Yeah. Nothing more interesting than that. But and then some people were making up originals, and of course, like Vamp 85 came up. So I don't know. David Bowie. The House.
Don't get me started.
Are you from Boston?
Started.
Yes.
It turned into.
We got Boston Rob over here.
Right.
Man, love Survivor. It only makes sense.
I'm excited for the possibility of another music house or something. I don't know, but
I forgot I mentioned this yesterday. I can't believe we haven't been thinking about this for this clue here. It obviously means Thor: Love and Thunder is getting a
kick him out of the recording. I'm done.
I can just mute him. He's muted now. Okay. Well, I think he has to unmute himself because now I don't know what I just did.
Oops.
Jonathan, no.
Hi, Jonathan.
Unmute yourself.
All right.
Last
one.
You assholes.
I can only mute him. I can't unmute him.
You know what you did. You go sit in the
I know, but listen. Here's the horror part of it. You walk into the house. You wait in a 2-hour line. It's like, all right, I got to go see this.
You wait in a 2-hour line.
Okay. Use Express, and you're like, all right, I'll go see this house because I got a podcast. I got to see all the houses. Or I take you for media. You're like, oh fuck, I guess I gotta go in. It's just I'll stay to the side. But you walk in and they just sit you in a chair, and it's like, all right, watch Thor: Love and Thunder. That's the horror.
Jonathan, I'll mute you again.
Jonathan, we're moving on to the last thing on the map, okay?
Fine.
Last house on the map, which is a bunch of Japanese characters, which seem to be kanji, specifically.
Yeah, looks like
I don't know about any of you, but I don't read kanji.
TikTok confirmed that all of the other translations people were putting on Twitter were correct. I will say that.
Confirmed that, but there are multiple translations depending what translator you use. They all come to a similar thing, but it's something along the lines of Japanese creatures, Japanese animals, yada yada.
Yeah, somebody specifically said, and a bunch of people were saying this is correct, the living things / creatures of Japan, they said, are the two most common translations that they know. So, I don't know. That's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Obviously, we don't know a lot about it, but I'd be down for it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If it's anything like Chupacabra that we got in 31, obviously like different, but under the same idea of taking something and really expanding upon it. I mean, I think it could be a great, and I'm really excited for it if it ends up being true.
Like, I know it's not likely, but if I get to walk through like those tight, narrow alleyways with all the neon signs on a dark, rainy night in Tokyo, I'm gonna giggle like a schoolgirl.
Ooh. That's gonna be fun.
Or schoolboy, school duff. A school duff.
Whatever you want. School duff. No, I think that's really exciting. I know Knott's had Shadowlands, which was like a samurai kind of Japanese spirits house. And I was always sad that I didn't get to go through that. So, and again, this sounds like, again, in the vein of like urban legendy kind of spiritual, like that kind of vein this year, which is not really where we always go for HHN houses. So,
yeah, I think it's something that would be very high on my hype list if it ends up being announced.
Absolutely.
Anything else about the final house on the spec map?
No.
It's in a parade building.
It is. The one thing
we should talk about
where they enter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have them entering at the Simpsons gate. So that's going to be between the Simpsons attraction and Quickie Mart. That gate with Chief Wiggum and Bart, and one of the locations we guessed it would be, and the better of the two, to be fair. So very good, very good.
Yep, another long walk all the way around, but that's okay.
So
we'll do it for the houses.
On to Scare Zones. All unknown. Great. Done. Good talk.
Long conversation we just had about.
There is a Lagoon show. Unknown. Phenomenal. There's a show in the stage, in Fear Factor stage. It does have a name, which is Nightmare Fuel. Even fiery than before, I'm sure.
We've had wildfire.
Instead of wildfire, it's like controlled burn. So they scale back the fire. Like there's fire, but we got it under control. Don't worry.
What if it's spontaneous combustion with now more fire?
Spontaneous combustion.
Nightmare Fuel spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, sure.
I just don't understand.
Heartburn.
Just
Too
drinking
real.
milk.
Too real.
Just drinking milk.
They give out a half gallon of milk at the end of the show.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Duff will be there every night. Just for the milk.
I appreciate you.
I just don't understand how every year now we get unknown Lagoon show, unknown this, unknown that, but the fucking show is still called Nightmare Fuel. Come up with something new.
If it is, I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If it ends up being Nightmare Fuel again, it's going to be another year where I don't go in the Fear Factor Live Stadium at all.
Same.
To be fair, it'll actually be a different concept this time, I would assume, at the very least.
You think so?
I would fucking hope so.
Well, because it seems that Nightmare Fuel is that base show and they just change nothing.
I mean, we only have 2 years to go off of.
I'm just saying. I know we don't want to talk about them and I won't say their name, but they did do new shows every year.
Yes, it's true.
Like full new concepts and productions.
Yeah,
like
which are
I know
much
this
better
is
than Nightmare Fuel. I'm sorry. Did I say that?
I know. No, I again, we don't like to talk about them, but you're not wrong.
No.
Moving on.
Although all the performers do deserve credit for that. It's just, mainly the one guy
Oh yeah.
who doesn't.
Right.
Who just happened to head the whole thing.
And these performers are great as well. It's just that like the in-house show like concept is not it,
I just think it doesn't
right?
like it's something I watched once I watched more than once, but I watched in HHN 30 and I was like, yeah, that's fun. But you brought back basically the same thing again, and I was like, okay, I don't need to watch this again. I saw it a
No,
couple
and they
times, and
didn't.
that was more than enough.
I forget about it, but they didn't like also advertise the fact that the reason they brought it back was because the Fuel Girls were finally
Mhm.
here. And they didn't use that to market it at
No.
all. And these girls are like big on TikTok.
Yeah.
So
You would think that would be a big selling point. It's obviously why they brought the same show back,
but
basically.
no. Yeah. I even forget that it was new, like because of that, because I forgot that they were there. So
I think it would make so much more sense to do a full reset and call it something else, or give us back a fucking comedy show because it makes so much sense.
mhm.
Your comedic relief throughout the night, people love that shit. It just works. And I'm not saying there
Not
doesn't
even Bill and
need to
Ted, just
be
Sensei.
dancing. Like you could have dancing at the same high level during this comedy show, but actually, I liked it a lot when you had a separate stage for like your dance show, and then you had your comedy show. And if you got it for Lagoon Show too, holy shit, look at that! What an event!
There you go.
Variety.
I mean, the first HHN had like 78 shows, so
And one haunted house, okay?
exactly.
And no Robosaurus, as Julie has clarified on her podcast.
That was the second one.
I know. Yeah. There's a whole story, Mike. I'll tell you later.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's Spec Map version 1 from Halloween night. Jesus Christ.
Horror Night Nightmares.
Horror Night
You almost called
Nightmare.
them Nightmare Fuel.
Yes, I did.
Oh no, they're much better than Nightmare Fuel. We love Horror Night Nightmare.
Sorry, Horror Night Nightmare. I promise I like you a lot more than that whole rant I just went on.
Spec season.
All right.
Any just broad thoughts they want to add, or
I think this year is going to be great. I think even if we got this map exactly the way, it says here, it's not going to be this, but if it was, still a very solid year, right?
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, we don't know what Guitar Lightning Bolt is, but it's going to be some sort of music IP.
maybe?
Probably. At least that's what it's alluding to. If we got that, and this spec map, it would be a fun year, right? I think it's going to be even better, though. I think we have a lot to talk about. I think there's a lot more secrets that will be coming out over the next couple of weeks.
Especially with the potential that there is a bigger IP than what is the current big IP. So,
yeah. I mean, yeah, if there's something bigger than The Last of Us on top of that, that means we're going to have a very solid year.
Oh yeah,
it's time for the Taylor Swift house.
Oh god, no, Lady Gaga first, please.
I would hope
take
so.
that. I would take that.
Gaga. Oh,
see, I would actually.
We won't get into that.
If we got Taylor Swift, I'd start to question what's happening.
I know.
There's no way.
And Duff's a secret Taylor fan. So
I mean, I don't hate Taylor Swift by any means.
I know you don't. I wasn't sarcastic.
I just do not want a Taylor Swift house.
No, I'm same, and I'm going to the Taylor concert, and I don't want her to have a house.
I mean, I'm not paying too much. Not that big.
I know, but my one thing I want to add is like looking at this spec map right now, and obviously it's not 100% correct. I don't see like an overarching theme, anything that ties them all together. Like I just kind of see Chucky hosting.
Mm-hmm.
If this were the event that was,
if even,
yeah.
If that, because like I don't even see them letting him kind of overshadow The Last of Us.
I think we're just back to like the HHN 27.
Oh.
No IP.
Yeah. Don't compare to that year, please, God.
Oh, what if Chucky and Last of Us are like co-headlining the event, like that kind of a thing? Because like I don't think one should be over the other at this point because Last of Us is massive right now.
I mean, we're also remembering possibly even bigger IP that
I
might even
know.
overtake both of them. Like
Jesus, oh, it's scary. I'm nervous.
I will say in your comment though, what I found interesting about 31 is that besides the house called Halloween, really none of the houses had anything to do with the theme at all.
Only the scare zones.
you could argue spirits, but not really.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, they were classic tropes. Like you could argue like creepy crawly bugs,
Mm,
a prison, which is a very classic like
Mm.
Halloween haunt trope. That's like one of
Witches.
the oldest like haunted house ideas in the game. Witches, yeah.
but I mean,
And
for the most part, like you could say that about
yes.
90% of HHN houses.
Universal
No,
monsters.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you monsters, yeah. But I'm like on paper, yeah, the zones were what tied it all together, but it did go out farther than that.
I don't.
Did
I
it
wouldn't say
though?
there was
Like,
there was not a
movies?
direct effort to do it with the houses.
You don't think they sat down and said, okay, well, we need to do a witch house
No,
for 31?
no.
I think
No.
I think they might have. I don't think they just pulled a speakeasy out of their ass.
I mean,
I
I think
mean,
they
they
definitely pulled
did.
a speakeasy out of their
I
ass.
think they did.
And literally say that on the podcast that they had to do Witch's House because it's 31. I literally remember one of the creators saying that. I think
Easy to say
Oh.
after the fact, but okay.
Suck it. Thank you, Mike.
I will have to go back and listen, but I recall one of the creators saying something like, "It's it's 31. We got to do witches."
They also say every house is the greatest house they've ever thought of. So, like,
Yeah.
They also, I mean, another reason, like, it's 31, we gotta do Halloween, but, like, I also think that was just because the new Halloween movie was coming out, too. Like, as much,
That
even though
had
it's, like,
nothing
easy
to
to
do
say.
with it. Nothing to do with it.
I'd argue it had everything to do with it. It's like, oh, it's 31, we gotta have Halloween. Like, yeah, but I really think it's because of the movie. No, it's so, what I'm trying to say here is that, you know, let's say this was the lineup and everything was true, like in the house was called Guitar Lightning Bolt, an anchor with its rope that looks like a 2.
Jonathan.
But even if this was the lineup completely, there's, like, to me, there's no way for, like we're not gonna have any idea. Like, this doesn't mean there's no theme. This doesn't mean the event can't have an overarching theme or can't have any strong thematic elements. It just means wait for the zones to figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
I think the zones will give us the biggest clue on what this year could end up being in terms of the whole theme of the year.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I said, just looking at the houses, I can't see anything. This just looks like a lot of fun stuff that I'm excited for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
I mean, I'm stoked.
The concepts look cool. The IPs look cool. Like, well, the concepts we know.
So I'm going to throw this question out for everyone. What is the one thing from this spec map? We know there's some red herrings, but let's take it. Let's say it's all true. What's the one thing on here that you're most excited about? We can go around
At this exact moment,
at this exact moment.
The Last of Us.
Mine is the Phantom.
I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably go Phantom too right now. Even if Dracula's there, I'm gonna go Phantom.
I want to say Phantom, but I also want to be different.
Lair of the Banshees.
Krampus is out there, or the kanji
No.
thing, the Japanese
Krampus is-
creatures.
Krampus is like calling my name right now. Y'all know I'm dark and twisted, but
There's a lot of
it's-
really good stuff on here.
You
I
just
don't
need
know.
you need to pick guitar with lightning bolt. That's
no, the three that are right there, it's literally Last of Us, Krampus, and Phantom. I can't pick one.
Well, you have to.
I
That's
can't.
the point.
Okay, I'll pick Krampus to be different, but
I mean, I can switch
I don't know
mine
if
to the
that's
Japanese
true.
creatures thing because I'm very
no, we don't all have to be different. You all just both said Phantom, and I don't want to be a basic bitch. No, I it's probably Phantom. Let's not lie.
Yeah,
Moving on.
it's come on.
It's Phantom. I'm gonna geek the fuck out. Mike and I are just gonna like
Right.
keep like slapping each other on the shoulder. Look, dude.
Love never dies. Love never dies. It will not die.
We're gonna have signs on closing night. Next year, Love Never Dies house. Woo! Oh.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
You guys are gonna be sick of Mike and I this season.
Already am. It's okay.
Shut up, Dad.
All right. Well, that's the show. You can always
Thank
check
God.
it. You can always
Oh
check
wait,
us out.
wait. There's something
Oh.
we forgot. We talked about it on our live.
What did we forget?
We have to put our first announcement predictions out there because it was
Oh.
asked live. We have to put it on.
Okay. Okay,
What?
hold on.
Mike,
When is
no,
the
I
first
remember what we all
announcement gonna
picked.
be? Oh, I can pick
Are
any.
we still
Yeah, I'll stick
Oh.
with mine.
okay? Well, so Mike, you only have a couple options, I guess, at that
You can
point.
take whatever you
I
want.
picked.
I mean, can I say
Yeah, I picked.
October 31st, 2022?
No.
Because that would
No,
Our next announcement.
no.
because that was when
Our
the
next
first.
announcement.
Okay.
The next one.
The next one, official announcement. I think it's going to come out. Has anyone said March 21st? Because they usually come out on a Tuesday, right? Something like
Depends
that.
on the year, and then that's always not consistent either. So
I said the last week of March because that's my birthday is the 27th, and there's normally an announcement that week. So I'll pick like the 28th.
Okay. I feel like
That's
you
my
just
mom's
prices
birthday.
righted me. You're just
No, I had already picked that one on the live, Mike.
Oh,
So
okay. All right. So maybe
I'd
I
already
prices
picked that
righted
week.
you.
Maybe.
and I'm gonna go.
I think Duff had picked that week.
I'm going very ambitious. March 9th. Late week,
A
but avoiding a
Thursday.
Friday. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
I gotta pull up a calendar. Hold on.
That's okay. Do we want
We've been
to
talking about it
also
for 4
add?
minutes.
Do we want to add what house we think is going to be announced? Because I mean,
No, I don't. Thank you. Sorry.
Wait,
I would say Blumhouse.
so what were
That would be my guess.
oh, I was going to say
Monsters
Monsters,
would
but
be the one.
Monsters
I guess,
or Blumhouse, one of those two. It's going to be an IP.
I think Monsters was announced on my birthday last year. I'm pretty sure.
so what were the exact dates we had?
March 9th for me. March
I was
21st for Mike, and 28th for Jess.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna go March 16th.
There you go, right in the middle.
All right.
Okay.
Woo!
There we go. So
There we go.
we think it's going to be a week in March.
Basically, it will be in March. There you go, guys.
They're
Confirmed,
gonna
Duncan.
hold off. It's gonna be in April now,
Yeah.
just to piss us
May
off.
17th.
I mean, when was
Mm-mm.
last year? I feel like it was pretty late.
It was March, the last week of March.
Was it?
Probably.
It's like, here's monsters, and I'm like, okay.
And it was a bad.
Okay, the video was pretty bad.
And it was a meeting.
It was a cool video.
Get out of here, Jonathan. Stop.
Oh my god, it was May 17th last year that Monsters was announced. It was late last year.
Wait, what?
I was going
It
to say
says
it was
May-
really late, guys.
It was May 17th?
Yeah, it wasn't.
It
March
says
at all.
May
It was like
17th on the wiki.
What?
Every other year before that.
Yeah, it was like super late last year. We had to wait till like May.
Hold on.
It says it on the wiki.
Mike,
I mean, that's not
doing an
always
outro.
true.
I'm doing
Okay.
some research.
As always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at HHN365 and on TikTok at HHN365pod. We have a Discord. We've talked about it a lot. You can find the link in the description. Come join us in solving a bunch of clues. We have a merch shop at hhn365.com, and you can leave us a voicemail at 407-906-4134. Duff, have you researched what you were trying to research?
I can't find it, but we'll talk about it next week.
We'll talk about it next week. We'll leave a little bit of a cliffhanger. We'll see you in the streets.